What's up, Ocean? You got Matt here, coach of your Montreal Milotic and the commissioner of the Ocean League. After talking with a bunch of people in the server, we've decided that going forward, I will be doing a game of the week for both divisions. I'll be highlighting one game from each division that everyone in the Ocean League and in the Ocean Discord server as well can vote on to have showcased. So we're going to be starting off. Our first game for Division 1 is going to be the Dubai Dharm Riders against the Carolina Toros, and our second game is going to be the Wobbly Whoopers against the Academic Espionagers in D2. What I'm going to do here, I've seen these games once just so I can get kind of an idea of what's going on, but the main goal is to kind of give a first glance at what's going on here, just to showcase these things. Obviously, they can change as the season goes on. If you guys have suggestions, I would highly recommend letting me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, guys, if you see any crazy plays or really cool sets, make sure to let me know as well. I'm really happy to see that. Comments, I love them, guys. You know how much I preach. Comment. It's my favorite thing in the world to see. And of course, guys, like the video. Because it is an Ocean League video, I'm going to say, hey, let's go out there and get 50 likes. Now, originally I wanted to get this video out to you guys last Wednesday, but unfortunately I was sick, so I couldn't record that. I'm okay now. I'm fine. Had some time off work, but I'm doing better. And ideally, we can make sure that we have a really good first game of the week showcase for you guys. And again, guys, do me a favor, make sure to subscribe to the channel, join the Ocean League Discord server. That is just the Ocean Discord server. Ask where the Ocean League fans roll, and you'll be able to see everything that goes on before the game of the week is actually voted on. But of course, my thoughts will be here, so you guys want to make sure to stick around for these as well. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump into it. The first game, like I said, the Dubai Dharm Riders, coached by Sir Kill, against the Carolina Toros, coached by Cosmic Glade. Okay. Now, looking at this team, I don't have the matchups in front of me. I'm not going to kind of do that. I'm just going to go based on what is actually over here. I think if I went with the matchups, this video would be an hour long, and I don't have the time for that right now. So we're going to go based on this alone. So looking at the teams that have been brought here, the things I want to note are, in terms of checks to sand that the Cosmic Gladers team have, is going to be the Tangrowth, which is a phenomenal check to sand. That is Mega Gardevoir, by the way, so that we do have to keep that in mind. So it won't be able to just trace Sandstorm, or what is it called? Sand Rush, excuse me, unless it is not Mega, which is a possibility. Other than that, I believe that is a regular Titor or a Mega Titor. It is Mega Tyranitar, okay? So that's important to note. The saving grace for this team, honestly, outside of the Tangrowth, is going to be the Crawdon. The Crawdon is super valuable because it can hit the what is this thing called? The Excadrill and the Tyranitar for super effective damage, and it can bypass the sand speed boost that the Excadrill gets because it's a priority move from Aqua Jet. But in terms to counter that, the Heliolisk gets access to Dry Skin, so it's a really good counter, and so does the Raikkonen get not Water Bubble necessarily, but Water Absorb as well. And then on top of that, there's just a Tornadus Therian that is super bulky, super strong, so we'll see what the Carolina Toros can do, and obviously they have their mascot pick there. But let's go ahead and see what are going to be the leads. Honestly, if I were both teams, I would probably lead off with the, obviously I know the sets, I have them here, but I'm going to play as if I don't know the sets. I would lead off with a Tornadus Therian on Sir Kill's part, and I would probably lead off with, I'd say Melmetal, because nothing really wants to take a hit from Melmetal on this team, and you can get pretty free hit off with the Melmetal. So let's go ahead and see the lead. Looking at it, it's going to be the Tauros lead against the Heliolisk. Now that's solid. Tauros does outspeed Heliolisk, so we can go for a Body Slam and really do tons of damage to it, as Body Slam will come out here doing the solid amount of damage to the Tangela. And this is important to note, guys. You want to make sure you calc these hits here, because you'll be able to find out right away that this was a Life Orb Sheer Force Tauros, and that's what it was. But I imagine maybe a knockoff comes out, or a Giga Drain from the Tangela here, as the Tauros is going to go and fire off a Toxic. So great play managing to get the Toxic off on the Tangela, as the Tangela manages to knock off the Life Orb from the Tauros, which is huge, as Tauros will now switch out into the Gardevoir, tracing the Regenerator, which is nice. Unfortunately, the Leech Seed comes out, which is a great play. Kind of surprised the Leech Seed came out. I was a little bit surprised that the switch-in wasn't going to be the Sigilyph, but it is what it is. The Hyper Voice now comes out from the Carolina Toros, and unfortunately there's a miss there on the Focus Blast, and just based on that damage, I have not done any calcs. That to me looks like it's a Salt Vest, and based on that, that's really good knowledge to have if I'm the Carolina Toros. If we know this thing is a Salt Vest, it really plays into the strengths of the team, because if you get rocks up, well, you don't have rocks. If rocks were up, then the Tornadus would be really damaged heavily. But anyways, let's go ahead and continue as the, what is this teammate? The Dubai Dharma Riders end up missing the Focus Blast, which didn't matter there. It was going to be actually like 4 or 5%, honestly, nothing at all. But the Psychic comes out and does get a special defense drop, which means this guy has to U-turn out. And honestly, if I were Cosmic Later, I would have known this guy has to U-turn out here. I'm going to take anything he wants to go for. I'm that bulky. I have a very free Hyper Voice or Psychic or even Focus Blast on my end to catch an incoming Excadrill. So I would have stayed in there, but it's okay. He switches out, gets into the Melmetal. It takes only 3%, so it's not that big of a deal. But the check to the Melmetal does come in here, and that's the Tangela. In comes Sigilith though, which should be able to take any hit as the Tangela just knocks off its Focus Sash, which is unfortunate because that could have really saved him later on. It's a really good insurance policy to Sand, and unfortunately it's not going to matter. Dazzling Gleam comes out. I guess that was a prediction incoming for the T-Tar, which makes a lot of sense. It works out as the T-Tar will Mega Evolve and fire off rocks there. So rocks are going to be nice to have, really weakening down this team as a Fire Blast comes out doing 63% to him, which is amazing damage, and a knockoff comes out here. I really don't know why the knockoff came out here. I imagine it was a prediction maybe into the Tangela, maybe into the Tornadus, or even the Arachnid. But regardless, it ends up really costing the Carolina Tauros here. Just 63% from on their Tangrowth is terrible for only an exchange of 5% on the Mega T-Tar. You really don't want to have to deal with that. But anyways, at this point in time, I imagine the Carolina Tauros are going to be switching out as they just sack off the Sigilith. Fair enough, it wasn't going to do too much, but in comes the Crawdon. This is going to do tons of work. I imagine just a Swords Dance comes out here, but instead it's the Substitute, which is very surprising. Regardless, it's a very free knockoff on the Tangela here, as the knockoff does come out doing 43%, really weakening it, getting rid of its Violet, can make it a lot stronger. A lot weaker, excuse me, but the Giga Drain comes out, and that's going to force out the Crawdon here into the Tangrowth, as the Giga Drain comes out once more. 18% is solid damage, and I imagine we're going to see a knockoff or a Sludge Bomb or something like that, as the switch out into the Gardevoir comes out, and a great play going for the Sludge Bomb. That's amazing damage there, and the fact that he's at 13%, on Showdown you guys have to know this, even though it says 13%, it may not actually be 13%. There's a chance that your investment, you might still die to rocks there. So you have to be careful, make sure you know how much damage you're going to be taking from stealth rocks every single turn. So that's why this play might be happening. But anyways, the Tornadus comes in. That is the dedicated wall to the Mega Gardevoir, as a Hyper Voice comes out doing 38% to it. This does look like a roll, but in comes the Melmetal here. Don't want to sack off that Gardevoir for free yet, as a U-turn comes out that would have definitely gone the KO on the Gardevoir. In comes the Tangela. I believe Tangela should just drop to a double Iron Bash here, but it does outspeed and it can fire off a knockoff, getting rid of the Assault Vest, which is huge. Just not being able to take those special hits from the, what I'm assuming to be a special Tyranitar is very nice, as we now see a really interesting tech, the Stockpile Arachnid. Very interesting. Tangrowth comes out. I imagine a second Stockpile comes out here, and it does. And at this point, what does the Tangrowth do to this thing? This thing's at +2 in both its defenses. It's now Toxic to 2. It goes for Sleep Powder. Okay, so it does connect. That's good to know. This thing doesn't have reliable recovery outside of like Water Absorb, and now the fact that it's leech seeded, this makes things a lot easier for the Tangrowth, for the Carolina Tauros to deal with. So this is looking good for them right now, even though this is a +2 Arachnid. Melmetal is going to come out here, get some recovery back, which is nice to have, and then I imagine a Thunder Punch will come out again. Yeah, so another Thunder Punch is 30%, so at this point in time, it's in range. Another Thunder Punch will get the KO, but he wakes up and he goes for rest. Alright, so this is the recovery. This is a really weird set. I don't know what it's going to do, especially against a team with a Melmetal. Kind of surprising because it's pretty weak. But anyways, the double Iron Bash comes down. That was a great play. They're making that prediction to, in case of a switch, it's going to really weaken the Heliolisk a lot, and it's now actually going to die to the Life Orb damage, which is great for the Carolina Tauros. But in comes the Excadrill, very scary Pokemon here, as the Tauros will now come in as it fires off an Earthquake and just gets the KO right away and reveals to be Life Orb. Gardevoir, Mega Gardevoir comes in. What's it going to do? Going to go for Hyper Voice here, as it goes for a Healing Wish instead, and that's amazing because it gets the Melmetal back up to full, and that's extremely valuable, as a Focus Blast now come out and do 60% to the Melmetal. This would have been huge had it missed. It would have really made it so that, honestly, it would need 2 attacks, one from the Excadrill and one from the Tyranitar to be able to die, and that's massive. But anyways, the Tangrowth comes in, takes the Earthquake from the Tyranitar, and it should be able to take another Earthquake here after the Toxic, but it doubles out and goes into the Melmetal. I'm assuming expecting the Fire Blast, which it does get correct. Melmetal didn't outspeed anything else. It was a sack to everything, so it wasn't super valuable. But Tangrowth comes out. Tangrowth can now go for something, but it'll just drop the Fire Blast. This Tyranitar is putting in a lot of work. Way to go, T-Tar. In comes the Crawdon here, goes for Aqua Jet, does not get the KO on the T-Tar, and that looks like it's going to be a good game to Sir Kill and the Dubai Darmriders picking up a 3-0 win. Alright, so definitely here the MVP of this game was the T-Tar. T-Tar is really, really strong, and when a team doesn't have a reliable fighting type, it becomes much more difficult to deal with. And Mega T-Tar to me isn't one of the best Mega Pokemon because it really struggles to get sand up for the full 8 turns on a team like this where Excadrill is here, but it does provide sand support nonetheless, and it's super bulky. Its defensive stats are out of this world, so you have to be very careful when playing around it, and you need a really solid fighting type, especially a fighting type that is physical. You can't just rely on Focus Blast because T-Tar does have that boost in special defense from its sand, so we gotta be ready for that. And honestly, I think this is a really good game. A couple key turns. I really thought the lead matchup was unfortunate. It really came back to bite the Carolina Tauros. It just really made it a little bit tougher for them to, I guess, continue the pressure on, because while they do get the body slam off on the Tangela and the Toxic off on it, it really took away a lot of the utility, because Tauros coming in would have done so much work to a lot of this team. Whether it got Stomping Tantrum or whatever, Earthquake against any of this team, it would have been very strong. At any point in time, if this thing came in, that Tauros, it would have put in a lot of work, especially if it had its Life Orb. So keeping that thing around, getting it in as much as possible, I think would have been the best bet there. But regardless, good game. Let me know what you guys thought about it down in the comments below. I'm sure the players would love to know your thoughts as well, so make sure to go down in the comments and comment that too. Moving on, we have our next game, as I'm just going to switch over to our next file there, and there we go. So over here we have the Wobbly Whoopers against the Academic Espionagers. Now the Wobbly Whoopers had the first overall pick in their draft. This is D2, by the way, and the Espionagers have a really interesting team here with a really crazy, a really insane Fairy Dragon Steel Core, plus you got Mew on top of that. That's insane. So let's go ahead and jump into it. This is not Mega T-Tar, it's just regular T-Tar. It's also regular Aerodactyl, so there's no Megas that have been brought to this game. That is also Blaze Cinderace and not Libero. I definitely think just by looking at this team preview here, I think the Mew honestly has the potential to be absolutely insane. An offensive Mew could do tons of work here. The Dragapult is going to be a big threat though, but the good news for the Espionagers is that they have not only a Clefable rather, but a Drapion, which are going to be very powerful. It's going to be a tough game. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a crazy one, and honestly, this was the basically unanimous selection for Game of the Week, so hopefully it lives up to the expectations. Again, I've seen it. You guys are going to enjoy it. It's a really, really interesting game. Looking at it, what would I lead off here with if I was both teams? So depending on the sets, if I was a more, I guess, defensive Mew that was trying to set up hazards, I would lead off with the Mew in that instance. If not, I would try to lead off with something that gets hazards. And honestly, he can set up rocks with 5 of his 6 members. He can set up T-Spikes with his Drapion as well. There's no poison type on the team. And if you can get up a T-Spike, that'd be really valuable against the Feeny, because you get the T-Spike up before its terrain is up, you get to poison the Feeny, which would be very ususeful. Other than that though, what would I lead off with if I was the Wobbly Whoopers? I probably would say I would lead off with, again, it depends. If the Dragapult has access to U-turn, or if it's like a non-Life Orb variant, I might lead off with that. If the Cinderace has access to U-turn, I might lead off with that too. And same deal with the Thundurus here. There's one ground type, it's the Garchomp, but Garchomp doesn't have any reliable recovery. And with Feeny as well there, you can really pressure it effectively. This team really pressures Garchomp a lot, unless it gets a couple scale shots. So the Wobbly Whoopers have to be careful of that. I don't know, I would lead off with something like the Cinderace, expecting maybe a Ferrothorn lead or even a Clefairy lead, so Clefable lead rather. But yeah, let's go ahead and see what these teams lead off with. But looking at it, it looks like it's going to be the Thundurus against the Garchomp, and we'll see what happens here. I imagine Thundurus wants to switch out, as it just goes for Taunt. I'm assuming expecting Rocks, and he misses a Stone Edge. That's super unfortunate, as he switches out now into the Feeny to take, I'm assuming, the incoming Stone Edge, which it does come out, and that's 31% to a Feeny. It is Life Orb. That would have definitely OHKO'd the Thundurus. That's super unfortunate for the Espionagers. It's a really big play. Now, I don't know why the substitute comes out here, I'm not going to lie, because a Ferrothorn kind of hard walls a Tapu Fini. Like, there's really nothing you can do, because you don't get access to Hidden Power Fire anymore, and Draining Kiss is a contact move, so you're going to take, like, a ton of chip. This thing does get Gyro Ball, this thing does get Power Whip. I don't know why setting up a sub here was the play. Regardless, we'll see what he wants to do here. Just switches out into Cinderace, okay? Power Whip comes out, that's fair. Does a quarter to Cinderace. That is a resisted hit, that is crazy. Drapion will come out here as the U-turn comes here as well, and into the T-Tar, the Wobbly Whoopers go. Excuse me, I forgot the names, guys. The names are going to be tough to remember, but the Earthquake comes out as it does outspeed, and the Thunder Wave now comes out, but unfortunately, the Wobbly Whoopers forgot that there is Misty Terrain, which makes it so that grounded Pokemon are unaffected by any status moves, or grounded Pokemon cannot be statused at all. That hurts there, because instead of getting a good bit of damage off on the Drapion, which doesn't have reliable recovery, which can really make it a much easier time for the Dragapult, you just waste a turn and take 34% on your T-Tar, which also doesn't have reliable recovery. Let's go ahead and continue on, as it is leftovers T-Tar, so we now know it does not have to worry about the extended turns of sand, as another Earthquake comes out, and that's huge there because at this point in time, the Drapion would be gone. But now it looks like something's going to have to take another hit, another Earthquake potentially, as Earthquake comes out, and it does hit the T-Tar as it goes for a Thunder Wave. I'm assuming predicting a switch, which is fine, that happens, and we'll just, I'm assuming, go for an Earthquake with the T-Tar. As the Stone Edge comes out, that's kind of risky. I'm assuming the Aerodactyl was what was expected to be come out there. Anyways, Mew comes out here, switches out into the Thundurus, and that's solid. Here's the Vacuum Wave comes out. Very nice to see that switch. Very important. And the Garchomp comes out again, and a Taunt is what meets it. Anyways, a Focus Blast is going to come out and doing 47%. That's solid damage there, and a special defense drop as the Garchomp finally lands the Stone Edge and does get the OHKO on the Thundurus. That is huge. Getting rid of Prankster Thunder Wave, potentially Prankster Taunt, could have been very annoying, especially to deal with the Clefable. If the Clefable was getting up its Soft Boils, its Calm Minds, whatever the case may be, it would have been very, very difficult for the Clefable to just do anything this game if it was getting taunted. Anyways, the Feeny comes in. Tapu Fini should destroy this thing. It'll take any hit. At least it should. Earthquake and what is it called? Earthquake and Stone Edge are the same base power, so they should be doing about the same. But it is stab on the Garchomp. It did, I believe, it was 30-ish% with Stone Edge. So 1.5 times that would be around like 45, so I don't think it would get the KO for sure. But anyways, we'll see what happens here. I'm assuming the Feeny goes for a sub maybe, or a Draining Kiss, as a Moonblast comes out instead onto the Ferrothorn. That is why Feeny is hardwalled by Ferrothorn. I don't know why the sub came out that first turn. It's just 25% gone from Tapu Fini. That's super valuable damage that's just gone. And then the Body Press onto the Cinderace. Very nice here as the Mew comes out and is going to catch his Pyro Ball as it crits. Unfortunate. And the Sucker Punch comes out as well, so I'm assuming that's a pretty good play, assuming that you thought the Vacuum Move was coming. You managed to save a couple points of HP on your Cinderace. Really solid there. Maybe you don't want to like show off the Sucker Punch at this point in time, but hey, it worked out for you, so why not? But then comes the Aerodactyl, so outspeed everything on the what is it called, the Wobblywoopers teams as they go into the Tyranitar to sack it off. I'm assuming the incoming Excadrill is going to be the play, as it does, and it's probably going to go for Iron Head here as the Ferrothorn comes in as they go for a Swords Dance. Interesting, so 2 Swords Dances should KO the Ferrothorn here, or 2 Earthquakes rather, but he goes for a second Swords Dance, and that is being greedy, because at this point in time, this doesn't guarantee KO a Ferrothorn. It doesn't. So you have to be very careful, hoping that the investment is such that it's a very specially defensive set that you can get the OHKO, because if you do, you'll still have 2 turns left to really get a KO on pretty much anything else. Obviously, if this does get the KO, you probably go into the Clefairy, or the Aerodactyl rather, excuse me, trying to force him to go for the Iron Head, and you go into Garchomp, sacking it off to the Rough Skin damage, and that way you can get the KO on the Excadrill without losing too much of the damage, or too much of your team. But hey, we'll see if it even gets the KO here. I think that was a very risky play. We'll see if it pays off. The Excadrill is at +4, the Ferrothorn is maxed out. We'll see what happens. Earthquake comes out and it survives on 2%. That is really, really unfortunate, but that's a gamble that you gotta take sometimes, and it did not pay off. But Dragon Ball comes in, it outspeeds everything still. Shadow Ball comes out, gets the KO on the Ferrothorn, and that thing is gone, making Feeny a lot scarier here. In comes the Clefable, and Clefable is very strong in this matchup. It's really good because it kind of hard walls the Dragapult, so we'll see what happens. As a Scald comes out, very interesting why Scald is coming out. It's not as powerful as Moonblast. Moonblast has a chance to drop the special attack, and Scald, even though it has a chance to burn, well, it doesn't have a chance to burn in terrain. So very weird exchange there. I think Moonblast is the better option. You get much more damage off on the Clefable, wow. But the Iron Head comes out, making a prediction, or actually just that's the expected play, and he catches the Aerodactyl, which is super effective damage. It's very nice. And in comes the Sucker Punch to get the KO on the Aerodactyl. Very, very nice. And the Garchomp can now come out. Garchomp, if it's Scarf, well, we know it's not Scarf. We know it's actually... Wow, that's actually... I'm very surprised. Okay, so this is very unfortunate here because we knew the Garchomp was Life Orb. So I don't know why the Wobblywooper switched out of the Cinderace. Cinderace should have stayed in, gone for a Pyro Ball. Pyro Ball would have gone the KO. I mean, at that point, you weren't in Blaze range by any means, but at the same time, like, you were still going to, actually, 33% is Blaze range, so unfortunately, you weren't in Blaze range, but we see Iron Head, Sucker Punch, U-turn. Pyro Ball should have gone the KO. I mean, this Garchomp is pretty weak, so I would have been surprised, but hey, maybe you thought you had a way out, so we'll continue. The Garchomp does get the KO. Cinderace comes out. Cinderace does go for Pyro Ball. Gets the KO, 25%. And in comes the Clefable. And what is it going to go for? Is it going to go for Pyro Ball? Is it going to go for Iron Head? What is going to be the play? We know this thing is not leftovers based on the damage that it had taken before. It wasn't getting back recovery and leftovers. So we'll see what happens here. Pyro Ball comes out. No, it's an Iron Head as it is Babiri Berry. And it gets flinched. Oh my god, that is unfortunate. And that guy's going to be the game. Insane. Wow, I'm so thirsty. Okay. That is huge because, damn, if that flinch did not happen, the Espionagers won this game. This is why this game was voted the game of the week. That is crazy. Okay, I genuinely believe it's unfortunate. I don't want to speak poorly about anyone, but the Espionagers had this game. They played this game very well, and the Wobbly Whoopers had a couple of mistakes, but the power of their team, the fact that their team is so strong, really carried them a lot here, and that's part of drafting. Sometimes when you don't have your best game, your team can carry you, and that happens. The Stone Edge miss on the first turn against the Thunderous is unfortunate because it would have been really nice to get off that damage against a lot of this team, and it would have also made sure that the Garchomp would have taken that extra 45% from the Focus Blast as well. I think this game it was really unfortunate that it went the way it did, but the Sucker Punch bring on the Cinderace was huge. I like Vacuum Wave on Mew. I would love to see Mew get set up a little bit. Maybe it was Cassidberry. If it was Cassidberry and like a setup set, then it can be very, very scary to deal with. But at the end of the day, the Espionagers pick up the 1-0 loss, and the Wobbly Whoopers pick up the 1-0 win. Insane. Well, guys, that is going to be it for this video. If you guys want to see more about these battles in the Ocean League, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to like the video, comment your thoughts down below, and of course, join the Ocean Discord server and ask for the Ocean League fans role, and we'll be able to get you as many Ocean League battles as possible. Guys, that's going to be it for me. Make sure to give your love to the competitors down in the comments, and I will see you guys all next time.